What's up, everyone? My name is Michael DeLu. All right, and I want to thank you for even clicking on this episode of my podcast. Before I get to the episode, I would just like to ask that if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, comment on the video because it helps me tremendously in obtaining my long-term goals. All right, enjoy the episode. Let's go!
All right, that was like try number 5. No, I mean, it might have been try number 6. But nevertheless, let's just jump right into it. My name is Michael DeLu. Today's October 18th, and this is episode 75 of Pull Up the Tape. Man, I'm so excited. Not only do we have a great weekend of NFL football on Sunday, the NBA starts tomorrow. And then I have a full slate of sports to cover for the next until June. Oh my God, it's so exciting. So the first thing I want to get into is the 2 marquee matchups that happened. You know, as I said last week, as you drag on through the season, it's a lot of a good team playing a trash team or 2 trash teams playing. It's not really too many teams with above 500 records that are playing each other every week. So those are the games that I want to focus on the podcast. And then starting next week, I'll start highlighting every single individual game, and not just I'll throw that into Anyways, let me get into it. So the Ravens beat the Baltimore Ravens beat the Los Angeles Chargers 34-6. And one of the first things I want to point out is, damn, the scoreline for sure isn't what we expected, because even in Vegas, the betting odds, the over-under was 51 points. And it was 40, but most of the points were only scored by one team. And honestly, I feel like I speak for everyone when I say that everyone was expecting an offensive shootout. And the fact that didn't happen and it was such a lopsided game was just honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that both the teams that have winning records, I wouldn't even be talking about this game. But it's a very, very it needs to be talked about. It needs to be covered. It needs to be discussed because it's a storyline for both teams, and it answered a lot of questions and then raised a lot of questions for both sides. So very first thing I want to talk about is the fact that how well the Baltimore Ravens are playing. This is the same team that lost every single, their first string back, their second string back, and their third string back. They lost all their backs. Beginning of the season, everyone was talking about this team will not be able to recover from all these injuries. And here they are, sitting at 5-1 after 6 weeks of playing football. And their only loss was week 1 against the Raiders in overtime. To where they are now, they've won 5 games in a row. 5 games in a row, and looked incredible doing it. And one of the main things I want to point out and add is how much the Ravens have made the running back position look so useless and nothing. And the reason why I say that is because all the guys that are playing on the roster at that position are guys they picked up off the street, or guys that were sitting on their couch. Not that they're bums or anything like that, but none of these dudes were in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell was not in the NFL. Devontae Freeman was not in the NFL. Wasn't in the NFL last season either. And all these guys played significant roles yesterday. The Ravens punished the Chargers on the ground. Punished. Beat the fuck out of them. And another thing I want to add, I have a bunch of things to add. You're gonna keep hearing me say, one thing I want to add, another thing I want to add. Man, the Ravens played the most complete game I've ever seen them play all season. It wasn't one player just dominating everything. It wasn't you honestly couldn't really tell who the best player on the team was for the Ravens, because you got a complete effort from every single person on each unit. The offensive line played incredible. The defensive line played incredible. The corners played great. Lamar Jackson played great. The running backs had the best game of their season. The running back core had the best game of their season. Mark Andrews, great game. Hollywood Brown, decent game. Like I said, most of the Ravens win the past 4 or 5 weeks have been gutsy, edgy games, overtime, field goals, or whatever. This one, from start to finish, the Ravens dominated on both sides of the ball. The Ravens are an elite team, and yesterday they showed it. The Ravens showed that there's a difference between good and great, and the Ravens are a great team. And it's just, like I said, it's really good to see considering damn, this is annoying. It's really good to see considering all the stuff that the Ravens have been through this season. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I don't think anybody would have predicted that the Ravens would be in this position where they are now. They are the number one team in their conference and one of the best teams in the AFC. It's honestly between the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills play the Titans later today on Monday Night Football. We'll see how that plans out. I got the Bills winning, but we'll see. And again, I have to add this. The defense played one of the best games of the season against against an offense that for the past month of the season looked unstoppable. I'm going to throw out some figures. The Ravens defense held the Chargers. The Chargers are a top 5 offense in terms of yards, points, all that shit. Heading into yesterday. Held the Chargers to season lows in 3 different categories. The Chargers usually average 28.4 points per game. Yesterday, they only managed 6. The Chargers usually put up 411 yards per game. Yesterday, they only put up 208. The passing yards per game, the Chargers usually average 303 passing yards per game. Yesterday, they only put up 182. So after piecing together this game, watching the highlights, watching other, like, it just, the Baltimore Ravens are it. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens are it. They're an elite team. From here on out, they're an elite team. They're one of the best teams in the conference, and there's nothing left to discuss about that at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter how look. When Lamar Jackson, the craziest thing about yesterday's game is Lamar Jackson didn't even play to Lamar Jackson's standard. If you look at Lamar Jackson's numbers yesterday, it's very, very pedestrian. Lamar Jackson was 19 of 27 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. That is nothing. That's nothing. That's Lamar Jackson usually puts up 360 rushing yards. None of that. Like, none of this happened. Like, Lamar Jackson only had 200 all-purpose yards altogether. 167 passing and 51 rushing yards. That's not his best game. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen again. That's not even his average stat line. I'm going to get into the stat line for everybody else. Devontae Freeman had 9 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 8 carries, 51 yards. Latavius Murray had 9 carries, 44 yards, a touchdown. Le'Veon Bell had 8 carries, 18 yards, a touchdown. They had 3 touchdowns on the ground, over 100 yards on the ground. They controlled. Oh my God! They controlled the game from start to finish. Honestly, Mark Andrews had 5 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. As I said before, it was a great team win. Like, just great team win all around. As a Ravens fan, I'm not a Ravens fan, but if I was a Ravens fan, I would be entirely content with my team and the way they played. They looked like a complete and cohesive unit. All right. And as I said before, this is a really, really big deal because of the simple fact that, man, the Ravens have strung off 5 wins in a row. I feel like a lot of people were just didn't really give the Ravens a lot of respect that they deserved after they suffered those injuries, and rightfully so, because, the Ravens are a very run dominant team. So the fact that all of those backs, I understand why, but I guess, like I said, the Ravens as a team are undervaluing and, punching at the stock of running backs because they're signing running backs off the street. They are signing running backs off the street, and these people are coming into their system and doing what we've seen yesterday. The Ravens are still one of the top running teams in the league. So shout out to them. Shout out to John Harbaugh. Shout out to Lamar Jackson. Shout out to the Ravens defense, honestly. The Ravens defense made the Chargers offense look like a JV team. That's incredible. And I don't think anyone expected that to happen. Like I said, I feel like everybody thought yesterday's game was going to be an offensive shootout, and the Ravens defense was having none of that. No thanks. Maybe next week. Try that shit with somebody else, not us. So I want to get into the Chargers. And what I saw yesterday from watching the Chargers play is they're a good team, not a great team. And yesterday was a very, very big wake-up call for them. And why I say that is because they honestly didn't look like they belonged on the field yesterday, at all. As I just said, they look like a fucking JV team. I don't even understand how a team as good as the Chargers, only manages to score 6 points. 6 points. The fucking Detroit Lions scored more points than that against the Ravens. There's teams that are better than it, that the Chargers are better than that scored more points against the Ravens than what the Ravens just really came. The Ravens really just came to play, and the Chargers had no answer. It didn't seem like they had much fight at all. I don't know what exactly it is or what it was, but the Chargers got their ass beat like they fucking stole something. And as a Chargers fan, it's like I guess it just reminds the Chargers that they're probably one or two players or one or two crucial pieces away from actually contending for a Super Bowl or a Super Bowl berth or the berth in the AFC Championship. Like I realistically hope nobody was thinking that the Chargers could possibly win the Super Bowl or make it to or like represent the AFC or anything like that, because I never thought that. Like I said, the Chargers as a team now are in a much better position than they were last season, because, like I said, they are winning games that they usually lose. But just because they're winning games that they usually lose doesn't mean that they are one of the elite teams in the conference. I still think there are teams better than them, and who knows? Maybe this could have just been an off game for the Chargers. But honestly, I don't necessarily see it like that. And I don't think that's what it was. Like, I feel like after watching the game and rewatching the highlights, it just I don't know. There's a lot of things you could really point at it for why the Chargers lost. Like, first of all, this is probably the stupidest one I consistently hear. Oh, when West Coast teams go to the East Coast, or when East Coast teams come to the West Coast to play, blah blah. No, I don't want to hear that fucking shit at all. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Stop it. Look, they just got their ass kicked. The defense is not as good as advertised. After I watched the game and checked the stats, man, the defense ranks in the bottom half of every single statistical category. Every single statistical category. Besides Joey Bosa, who else do they really? What household names do they really have on defense? And Joey Bosa plays defensive lineman, so there's only so much he can do to affect the game. You know what I mean? Like, a very good defensive lineman isn't going to control a game or anything like that unless he's in the backfield every single play, which is not what was happening. And then, it's not like they have Melvin Ingram on the other side to where, they could actually shift the protection to make sure Joey Bosa is not getting off and doing all these different things. But to get quite frank, the reason why the Chargers weren't really able to put up much points on offense is because the receivers can win one-on-one matchups. It just like when I rewatched the game, they weren't creating separation. They weren't giving Justin Herbert the chance to put the ball in the window. None of that really happened all night, all game long. I mean, Mike Williams had 2 catches for 27 yards, some bum shit. Honestly, he wasn't even playing. Like, I don't know. I mean, also he didn't really practice this week because he had a knee injury, so maybe he honestly shouldn't have been out there. But receivers didn't really do a good job of giving the quarterback any targets, any viable targets, honestly. So, and then the running game was non-existent. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the Chargers' execution or the Ravens just really came to play and socked them in the mouth, but just an all-around bad game from the Chargers. Hopefully they can bounce back. Who knows? Maybe it could have just been a bad day, a really, really bad day at the office. But then again, it could have been honestly assembled that the Chargers are not an elite team. Like, it's either one of the two. It's going to take some time for me to figure out whether it is. I got to watch more tape and see about, both these teams moving down the course of the schedule, but we'll see. Justin Herbert, 22 of 39, 195 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Man, they made him look average. The running game was atrocious. Oh, my God. Justin Herbert was the leading rusher. Well, you guys know my rule. When I talk about quarterbacks being the leading rusher of a team. That's usually a recipe for a loss, a fat-ass L. When your running back, when your quarterback is the leading rusher, most likely you're going to lose that game. Unless you're the Baltimore Ravens, most likely you're going to lose that game. Justin Herbert had 2 carries for 12 yards. Austin Eckler had 6 carries for 7 yards. Joshua Kelly had 4 carries for 7 yards. Come on now, that's nothing. Combined, they both. Oh my God, Justin Herbert had 12 combined. The top two backs had 14. How do you expect to win a game like that? Huh? You don't. This the NFL. You don't win games like that. Keenan Allen had 5 receptions, 59 yards. Austin Eckler had 4 receptions, 48 yards. And that is that. So the next game I want to get into is it's crazy because I've seen this team come. I've seen this team come a long way. Like, I've seen this team come a very long way. As for some of you guys who don't know, I went to Arizona State University. I graduated in 2018. And the home team for the Arizona Cardinals is the Arizona Cardinals. The home team for I said Arizona Cardinals is the Arizona Cardinals. No. The home team for the state of Arizona is the Arizona Cardinals. So I watched a lot of Arizona for like the 2.5 years that I was in Arizona. I watched a lot of the Cardinals for 2.5. So, and I've seen what they have been after I left and when I was there. They used to suck, and now they are the best team in the NFL. And if somebody would have told me that the Arizona Cardinals would be 6-0 after 6 weeks of an NFL season, I would have slapped the shit out of you, probably robbed you for whatever weed you had on you because I know you're smoking some good gas because there's no way the Cardinals could have been 6-0. But newsflash, that's exactly what happened. And yesterday, the Cardinals did what everyone thought the Cardinals was going to do, and they beat the fuck up on the Browns. The Cardinals, I'm going to just say it as simply as possible, have no weaknesses. Their offensive line is amazing. Their defensive line, Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, amazing. Their linebacking core, Marcus Golston, Isaiah Simmons is getting better. Their defensive backfield, Budda Baker, good. They have not Justin Simmons. Damn, what's number 7's name? Damn it. I don't know. I don't know his name off the top of my head. And their offense is just explosive. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green is looking like AJ Green from like 6 years ago. Kyler Murray's incredible. James Conner and Chase Edmonds, they're great 1-2 punch. Like, there's not really much of a weakness that this team has. Like, I don't see many. I know they're not going to go undefeated, but I probably don't see them losing any more than like 4 games at the max. At the max, 4 games. Like, they just honestly like beat the Browns up like they fucking stole something. They won the game 34-17, and honestly, it should be 34-30. It should be 37-7 because Baker Mayfield threw a Hail Mary pass that was caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones in the end zone right before halftime, which honestly is not realistic. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. More out of 10 times, that's probably only going to happen like once or twice. So the fact that happened yesterday, so other than that, very, very, very complete team. I knew they would win, but I didn't think they would dominate the way they did. Like, they literally beat the Browns like they stole something. And this might be the last time me talking about the Browns because as of right now, the Browns are a 500 team. 500. They're 3-3 after 6 weeks. Especially, you know what? I'm going to give my praise to the Cardinals, and then I'm going to rip the fuck out the Browns. Kyler Murray looked incredible. 20 of 30, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns. Hey, man, Josh Allen has some ground to make up because, look, Kyler Murray's looking like him. He can't be stopped. And I want to credit the boys up front. His offensive line is incredible. They give him time to throw. They give him time to let the play develop. They give him time for the passing lanes to develop. His receivers constantly win one-on-one battles. Like, their receiving core might be the top receiving core in the NFL, honestly. Who can really fuck with them? They have DeAndre Hopkins. They have AJ Green, who AJ Green for quite some time, for most of his career, was considered a top 10 receiver in the league. For most of AJ Green's career, he was a top 10 receiver in the league. And they have Christian Kirk, and they just picked up Zach Ertz. Come on, man. That's unfair. Kyler Murray, 20 of 30 for 229 yards, 4 touchdowns. James Conner had 16 carries for 71 yards. Chase Edmonds had 4 carries for 46 yards. A.J. Green had 5 receptions for 79 yards, a touchdown. Christian Kirk had 5 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins had 3 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. Something. And Oh my God. Now to the Browns. And I don't like talking bad about teams, but when I just have to keep it. I just got to I have to keep it funky and 100. Like it's just the way I move. It's the way I operate, and I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel credible if I didn't keep it 100. Even though I don't like talking about certain guys or certain teams, it is what it is. Like I really have to just be 100 and keep it funky. Baker Mayfield. I'm gonna say it as straight as possible. He only looks good when everyone around him is healthy. Baker, like, what's up with you? One offensive lineman is down, he looks like a completely different quarterback. Like if one of his starting offensive linemen is not playing for whatever reason, Baker's going to look like a completely different player. So I'm not surprised before I watched the game, I saw the injury report and the Browns starting tackles, the right tackle and left tackle were out with injuries. And I was like, oh yeah, Baker's going to struggle. And because who the Arizona Cardinals have up front, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, they're going to wreak havoc on backup tackles. Oh, yeah, no. That's the same thing that happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They were playing without 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. There's no way they were going to win that game, especially against the Buccaneers defense. No way. And on top of that, like I said, Baker only looks incredible when everyone's completely healthy. Nick Chubb was out. And Nick Chubb being out, Nick Chubb is honestly, in my opinion, the Browns' best offensive player. I don't think it's Baker. I for sure in the hell don't think it's Odell Beckham because I don't know what the fuck is happening with Odell Beckham this season, but him and Baker just cannot. Yeah, Odell Beckham probably had an average game, in my opinion, better than last week's game, but Odell Beckham has some drops, and Baker Mayfield also didn't find Odell on a couple crucial throws. And honestly, based off what I've seen all season, Nick Chubb is just the most complete and consistent player that the Browns have had all season. That's why I said he's the best player on offense for the Browns. And without him, they were never going to win that game. With him, they probably wouldn't have won that game. Without him, fuck no. Without him, fuck no, they weren't going to win that game. And Nick Chubb represents just has such a big impact on the Browns offense because he represents a style of football they want to play. The Browns are not a pass-first team. They are a smash-mouth football. Like, when the Browns really get going, they're a smash-mouth football team that likes to run the ball, that likes to grind out the yards, that likes to give Baker stacked boxes to throw against because defenses have to commit extra defenders to stop the run. And that's where Baker is able to thrive. Baker can't thrive when it's situations like what we seen yesterday. And it's just the nature of the situation. It is what it is. I got to call it like I see it. I'm not an NFL quarterback, but I watch enough games to understand what the fuck is happening. Baker, if one of his starting receivers is out, you're going to see that in his performance. His running back is out, you're going to see that in his performance. His offensive linemen are out. If a guard's gone or a tackle, you're going to see that in his performance. Unlike some quarterbacks like the one behind me right here, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or any of these elite dudes, they are able to compensate for missing elements in the offense. They raise their game to accommodate for deficiencies that might come up in the offense in case of injuries. Baker Mayfield is not one of those guys. Not yet. He might never be, honestly, because as I've been told, a player is who they're going to be by their 4th or 5th year in whatever league they're in. If they're in the NFL, if they're in the NBA, if they play for the Premier League, whatever, a player is typically going to be what they're going to be by their 4th or 5th year in the NFL. And, I mean, I feel like I've already seen Baker at his best. Like, how much better can he get? And he's a decent player. He's a good player, not good, not great. Baker's good, not great. But, I mean, the NFL, even having a good quarterback is decent. I mean, that just means building an efficient team around him. But, like I said, when Baker doesn't have those key elements to work with, he's just going to struggle, and that's exactly what the fuck happened. He can't put the team on his back, and it just showed again yesterday. He solidified that shit for me. He had 19 of 28, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Kareem Hunt, 14 carries, 76 yards. Kareem Hunt had 14 carries, 66 yards. The Browns as a team had 73 yards total on the ground. That's fucking terrible. The Browns are like one of the best teams at running the football in the league. And then yesterday we were held to 73 yards. You want to know why? Because Nick Chubb, their best player on offense, was not playing, i.e. Nick Chubb. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 4 receptions, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham, 5 receptions, 79 yards. Odell Beckham could have had more, but he himself had some drops. And all day, like I said, it didn't seem like the offense was really clicking. They only, in my opinion, they only scored 7 points. I don't really count the Hail Mary. Like I said, if you run that play 10 times, that's probably on that result that the Browns got yesterday is probably going to happen once or twice at the most. And my final topic for today's podcast. So Phoenix guard / forward Mikal Bridges has agreed to a 4-year, $90 million rookie contract extension, according to his agents, Sam Goldfinger and John Gertler of Excel Sports. And this was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski on Sunday. Bridges deal, he's going to be averaging $22.5 million per season. It's fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. And this is going to kick in next year. And they completed talks with Suns general manager James Jones on Sunday afternoon. So I want to give a big shout out to Mikal Bridges. He really showed out last year in the playoffs. Great 3-and-D player. I think $90 million is probably like $90 million just goes to show that $90 million ain't what $90 million 10 years ago was a max contract player. $90 million 10 years ago was a max contract player. So it's good to see that it seemed like everybody getting paid. It's niggas in the NBA that can't score. They literally cannot average 20 points per game in a season. They get paid $20 million. So it's crazy to see that this is happening. Not crazy, but it's good. Mikal Bridges is 25, and he like I just stated, he was a big part in the Suns being able to make it to the finals last year. I mean, I wouldn't say the main deal. Obviously, that was Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, but he was a big part. He provided crucial defense in various situations over the course of their playoff run. He hit big shots, hit a lot of big fucking shots against the Lakers, I can tell you that. And he proved himself last year to be one of the most versatile two-way players in the league. I don't want to call him young because he's 25, so I don't think you're still young at 25. You're not old, but you're not young. Last year he had a career high of 13.5, 4.3 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal per game during Phoenix's run to the NBA Finals. And one of the things I've noticed that with Mikal Bridges is everywhere he's been in his career, he won two national championships at Villanova. He comes to Phoenix. They weren't too bad for too long. They were only bad for the first 2 years of his 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, yeah, they're only bad for the first 2 years of his NBA contract, and the next two they have been good. Phoenix is looking like they're going to be a really good team again this year. I don't know about if they're going to make it to the finals, but nevertheless, it is what it is. And this is a quote by his agent. Mikal has worked tirelessly to bring winning basketball back to the Phoenix Suns. This is a culmination of his hard work. I wouldn't agree with that. I don't think he brought winning basketball back to Phoenix. He also added, it's no accident. He is a player who buys into the culture as well as sets the culture. I don't agree with that as well, but he's probably like the he's probably like the 5th or 6th best player on the team. I don't think he is the reason they're winning or anything like that. But agents are gonna sell their client as well as possible anytime they're talking about them in front of the media. But nevertheless, shout out to Mikal Bridges for getting paid. That's generational. That's generational wealth. That's generational money. And I feel like everybody's striving to work. I mean, not everybody, but majority of people. No, I can't even say majority of people. Select few people are striving towards creating generational wealth and making it to the point where they could change a lot of situations for a lot of people in their families. And I want to credit that black man for being able to do that. It's not easy to make it to the NBA, and it's not easy to get a contract extension this big. So shout out to him. That concludes today's podcast. I'm really, really excited because tomorrow is going to be the start of I want to do a lot of big things with this podcast, and I don't think a lot of people it really registers with a lot of people. And obviously, it's not too apparent right now because I'm struggling to regain the same form I had, and get the same views I had in June and July. But nevertheless, I don't take this shit for granted. I don't let that shit bother me at all because there's something. Nipsey also, rest in peace, always said there was nothing special about me. I just never quit. So And he loved music. I love music the way I love this the way Nipsey loves music. I love talking about sports. I couldn't see myself doing anything other than what I'm doing right now, and I consider myself to be impeccably blessed that I was able to put myself in this situation to do what I'm doing right now. So I got a lot of big shit coming, and that's why it really excites me. That's why I'm so happy that basketball season is finally back. I'm gonna be posted outside Laker Stadium. Staples Center, every Laker home game, interacting with the fans, trying to get my name out there, trying to get all these people to know who I am and know what I do and try to get them to tap in. So I'm really, really excited. And as I said in the beginning of the podcast, this is the first time now all of the major sports that I cover will all be running at the same time. Basketball season is back tomorrow. Football season is back is here to stay until February. Soccer season is going to be here until fucking June. And I'm lit, honestly. I'm lit like shit, okay? My name is Mikal Bridges. This concludes episode 75 of Pull Up the Tape. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your teammate, tell everybody you know about this fucking podcast, all right? With that being said, long live Kobe, long live Gigi, long live Pop Smoke, long live my granny. Whoa, viral movie, I'm out this bitch. Yes, sir!